Hey guys, it's Abdul for the good folks over at Leon Tailoring, 809 North Delaware, downtown Indianapolis. No, just because it's tailor-made clothing does not mean it is out of your price range. You walk into Leon Tailoring, you'll see a great wide selection of clothes that are actually quite reasonable and quite affordable and very comparable to what you pay at the big box stores. It's just the fact that it's just better clothes that last longer. So don't let the tailoring part fool you. Swing on by Leon Tailoring and see what I'm talking about. Leon Tailoring, 809 North Delaware and downtown Indianapolis. That's Leon Tailoring, 809 North Delaware and downtown Indianapolis. We'll take a few minutes to talk to Senate Republican Leader Pro Tem, Rod Bray. So, Senator, how's it going? How's your summer treating you so far?
It's been a good summer. I mean, it's a political year, obviously. Spent a lot of time on my political campaign in the May primary. But this summer, we've been working on trying to formulate what our agenda items will be for the next legislative session. Not finished with that, but still in a work in progress.
Obviously, one of the big issues, if not the big issue, is going to be property taxes next session and property tax reform. Lots of plans out there. Obviously, you guys are hammering out the details of your proposal. But what are some of the big things you want to see done in any sort of property tax reform proposal?
Well, we've been looking globally at our tax structure in the state of Indiana, and I think one of the things that we're relieved about is it's actually pretty good. We kind of are perennially in the top 10 in the nation with as it pertains to our tax structure, and so we don't have huge things to fix, but property tax is something that we've all been hearing about. In particular, I have, and I know my other members have, and so we're going to work on that. It's a pain point for folks because when they go in May and November to pay those property taxes, it's hard for them to do. It's along with the other inflationary problems. So you'll see us work on that. We don't have a consensus on exactly what we're going to do yet. We've had some meetings over the last couple weeks. I've got a couple more coming up with some of my members, but also some House members to try and fashion some remedy that helps Hoosiers.
That seems to be one of the big issues with this latest round of property taxes. Not so much have been the tax themselves, but have been just sort of the assessment portion of your property tax bill, which is a big portion of what you're going to pay. However, one of the things also, too, people say that it's because of government growth. I also argue that it's also because of simple supply and demand. We had COVID and a housing shortage, and more people want to buy homes, and homes are available. So guess what? The price goes up, so therefore your fair market value goes up, so therefore your assessment goes up. Or am I just crazy?
No, I think that's basic economics, right? And there's a shortage of housing supply. It's more expensive now because materials and labor are more expensive. In fact, labor and plumbers and electricians and folks are in short supply, and so they can demand a high wage, and so it becomes more expensive. And so as a result of that, you're right, that the assessed value goes up, and while property tax rates didn't go up in most parts of the state, the assessments went up significantly, and as a result of that, the property tax bill that people have to pay has gone up. In a way, it's great because your house is more valuable, but if you're not selling and you're just trying to stay in it by paying your property taxes, it's a real hardship.
It seems that so I came to Indiana in 2004. About every 7 to 10 years, it seems like there's another big property tax crisis thing going on here. Back in 2008, 2009, it was when the taxes went up through the roof, and Bart Peterson got thrown out of office. Greg Ballard got elected. It sort of sent shockwaves through the state. It looks like we did something with the property tax caps. Then a little bit later on, like here we go again. What is it about property taxes that just seems to just require this constant, seems like sort of major overhaul, major change?
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's really important to folks. But I think it goes along with just the general ebb and flow of our economy. You can see a recession come. You kind of expect one every 10 years or so. And with economic times when they get challenging, property becomes more expensive, and paying those property tax bills become more challenging. So it's just, I think it's a part of the natural flow of our economy, but we just need to address those issues when they come up.
Other big issues, obviously, education, reform, finance is going to be another big issue out there. I know our friends in the school choice committee are pushing for sort of a universal voucher. Where are you folks in education reform, or have you put out a new proposal yet?
We haven't put out a new proposal yet. I'll tell you, the one thing I can tell you in the education space and all across the state, really, in the last 3 years, we've been able to do some really great things when it comes to funding education, historic funding in 19, 21, and 23. And but this year, it looks like, the revenue is probably not going to come in the same way. So we need to make sure people's expectations are realistic to think that we might not be able to do that kind of same work this next budget session. It might be a little more challenging for us.
Any other sort of proposals? It seems like every 2-3 years there's like a major education reform proposal, and sometimes they don't have enough time to just sort of sit there and just sort of simmer for a while before, okay, this doesn't work, let's go do the next thing.
Well, I think you make a fair point, Abdul. Sometimes it's okay to come up with some fairly significant proposals and then just let them bake and see how they're doing before we go back and make some more changes. And I think there's real value in that, and probably on some large level we should do some of that this year.
The budget. Obviously, that's going to be the big thing, big issue. Already only $36 million. Not a whole lot of new revenue, lots of demands. Medicaid's got its issues out there. We had the other sort of budgetary needs. How much of a pain in the butt is the budget going to be this go around?
It's going to be extremely challenging. You hit on some of the big issues. I mean, Medicaid is a really serious challenge for us. It grew as a percentage of the budget last time, and that was before we had the missed forecast of $984 million, and we're chipping away at that now. But so Medicaid will be a significant topic as we craft the budget. Education will as well, because it's about half of our budget and should be. And but again, it's going to be across the board, I think, pretty challenging to do, because we're not going to have an awful lot of new money to work with, it doesn't seem like.
Speaking of Medicaid, is that the biggest state expenditure yet? Because I know every time I go to the budget forecast hearings that those numbers keep creeping up ever so slightly, that eventually Medicaid is going to be sort of the largest state budget expenditure over education.
Not even close. Education is much larger. Medicaid's about 18%. Education is just under 50%.
So how would you describe what's going to happen next session? What word would you look for? This is going to be my opening line in my story. So,
with one word, I don't know. We're going to work hard at making sure we craft policies that work for the state of Indiana. We're going to craft, first and foremost, a budget that is balanced and tries to address the needs of Hoosiers with the revenue that we have. And we'll have some other policies that we work on, and we're looking forward, as we know, go for the next 3 months or so to kind of really dial in on what those are going to be, and so you hear more about them then.
Oh, I lied. One more question. How's Mike Braun doing? Communicating with you folks. I've been hearing stories that the Braun people haven't necessarily been communicating as well as they should be doing with you folks. So, assuming they get elected governor in November. Yeah,
well, obviously they've got a campaign to run, and they're doing that. We've been communicating pretty well, I think. We've sat down with them and talked through some of the issues. We've got lots more issues to talk about, and we're not making any assumption that he's won the election, but just trying to have some preliminary conversations in the event that happens. And but he's got a lot of work to do between now and November, and I'm sure he's out there doing that right now.
Any concern about Micah Beckwith being president of the Senate chamber?
No, I think we'll work together just fine.
All right. Mr. Bray, always good to talk to you, old friend.
Okay, thank you very much.